The moment you hear it, you know exactly what's coming. That soft, crinkling whisper of a potato chip bag being opened. It's a tiny sound, barely louder than a sigh, and yet it has the power to summon people from across the room, like some ancient culinary magic. Maybe it's movie night, maybe it's a midnight snack, or maybe it's one of those afternoons when you promise yourself you'll eat just one chip, and we both know how that ends. But here's the strange thing, that tiny sound, the flutter of a plastic foil pouch, carries the weight of an entire universe of engineering. A whole invisible world sits behind that moment when your fingers slip into the bag and meet that first impossibly crispy, lightly salted slice of fried potato. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does something so simple, so effortlessly joyful, require a journey so intricate, so surprisingly poetic, that it borders on myth? Imagine for a moment shrinking yourself down to the size of a chip crumb and stepping into the factory where these crispy little wonders are born. The air hums, not loudly, but with the steady, contented rhythm of machinery that knows its purpose. Conveyors glide like rivers of brushed steel, glowing warm under ceiling lights. Sorting arms move with the grace of polite dancers who never miss a step. You might think you're entering an industrial plant, but the closer you look, the more it feels like you've wandered into a hidden kingdom, one built not of stone and timber, but of stainless steel and precise timing. Even the potatoes seem to arrive with a sense of destiny, rolling in like travelers who have trained their whole lives for this moment of transformation. They begin as humble roots, of course, pulled from the soil, covered in the quiet wisdom of the earth. But once they reach the factory gates, everything changes. A gust of cool air washes over them as they tumble forward, and a dozen nozzles send out sprays of water that glitter like morning rain. Brushes swirl in synchronized loops, turning muddy potatoes into gleaming golden ovals. If you listen closely, there's a little rhythm to it, a faint percussion of potatoes dancing against metal, as if they're warming up for the performance of a lifetime. Then comes one of the most astonishing moments in this entire hidden ballet: the slicing chamber. Here, blades sharper than any kitchen knife slice through potatoes at breathtaking speeds. Not violently, not carelessly, but with the gentle discipline of someone who knows that precision brings beauty. Each slice falls away from the blade like a thin, sunlit petal, drifting downward until it lands in a silky cascade of perfect spirals. And every single one is nearly identical. Have you ever picked up a chip and marveled at its shape? Chances are you haven't. But in that factory, uniformity is its own little miracle. Now, if the slicing chamber is a kind of choreography, the fryer is pure alchemy. The slices plunge into shimmering oil, and instantly, they begin to curl and stiffen, forming that familiar, wavy texture we associate with chip happiness. The bubbles rush around them, tiny pockets of energy lifting moisture away, until what's left is crisp, golden lightness. Standing beside that fryer, assuming you had a fireproof suit and didn't mind smelling like fried potatoes for a week, you would witness thousands of chips rising to the surface like newly minted coins, each one emerging with a soft, crackling whisper, as if sighing into existence. Here's a question for you. If you could freeze time at that exact moment, chips floating, oil dancing, machines humming, what detail would you want to observe up close? Would you study the perfect timing, the chemistry behind the crisp, or maybe the dazzling coordination of the machinery that never seems to miss a beat? But of course, our adventure doesn't stop there, not even close, because no chip is complete without its seasoning. And this is where the factory starts to feel like some kind of culinary weather system. Imagine a giant rotating drum, polished to a mirror finish, slowly turning as chips tumble inside. Above them, soft showers of seasoning fall like flavorful snow. The chips roll and tumble through this gentle storm, each one catching a bit of magic before drifting out of the drum fully dressed and ready for their public debut. Some chips get just a hint of salt, others a bold blast of barbecue, and others still are treated to the tangy, mysterious sparkle of sour cream and onion. Somewhere in that tumbling chaos, every chip finds its flavor destiny. And this brings us to the gentle twist in our story. Because despite how peacefully everything seems to flow in this hidden kingdom, there is a constant, elegant battle happening behind the scenes. The battle between simplicity and complexity. You see a chip and think, well, it's just a chip. But inside this factory, engineers and technicians are dealing with temperature fluctuations, moisture migrations, airflow stability, oil degradation curves, real-time machine analytics, conveyor belt load distribution. So many variables that it almost feels like the chips are the simplest part of the whole operation. Isn't it funny how the things that bring us the most comfort often hide the most complexity behind the scenes? And I wonder something else. If you were standing in that seasoning drum, metaphorically of course, watching thousands of chips tumbling beside you, what flavor would you hope to be coated with? Classic salted? Something wild like dill pickle? Or maybe you'd invent a completely new flavor, your personal signature, that no one has tasted yet. After the seasoning comes the moment of destiny, the packaging line. Now this may sound ordinary, but in truth, packaging is one of the most quietly heroic parts of the entire journey. The goal is simple: protect the chips from the cruelty of the outside world. Because chips are fragile creatures. They bruise easily. They crumble under pressure. They're basically the poets of the snack world. And so the machines fill each bag not just with chips, but with a little cushion of nitrogen, a harmless, invisible pillow that keeps them safe. This is why that bag often looks fuller than it feels. Not a trick, just kindness in the form of gas. The bags race across the conveyor, sealed with a quick kiss of heat, then printed with dates that mark their timeline in the universe. But before they go off to stores, before they sit patiently on shelves waiting for someone to choose them, there's usually one last line of defense: the quality control station. Imagine a team of sensors scanning each bag with the attentiveness of guardians. Weight checks, seal inspections, metal detection. It's like watching a team of tiny superheroes making sure nothing imperfect escapes into the wild. And that makes me curious about something. If you were in charge of this entire operation, what part of the process would fascinate you the most? The slicing, the frying, the seasoning, or the packaging, the final embrace before the chips begin their journey into the world? Sooner or later, those bags leave the factory. They journey in trucks that hum through highways, in pallets stacked like geometric puzzles, crossing cities, states, sometimes entire countries. The chips inside have no idea how far they've traveled, no idea whose hands will eventually open the bag, no idea whether they'll be eaten during a road trip, at a children's birthday party, in a quiet office cubicle, or alone on a couch at 2 a.m. while someone wonders where life is heading. And yet, their journey continues, quietly connecting farms, engineers, machine operators, truck drivers, warehouse planners, store clerks, and finally, you. Which brings me to my last question for you today. The next time you open a bag of chips and feel that puff of air escape, what will you think about first? The crunch, the flavor, or the entire secret kingdom behind it? The people, the machines, the ideas that made that tiny, joyful moment possible. Because that's the magical truth tucked inside every simple potato chip. It isn't simple at all. It is the product of countless decisions, a symphony of precision, a collaboration between human hands and technological wonder. And somehow, all of that fades quietly into the background the moment you take that first crunchy bite. So as you enjoy your next chip, maybe let a little gratitude wander into the moment. Share this story if it made you smile. Subscribe if you'd like to wander into more hidden worlds. And keep your curiosity sharp. There are wonders everywhere. Some are just disguised as snacks.